Let's start with the bigger picture. I believe their phrase was the economy is performing strongly. So if you look at the combination of the things that you can get from the press release, which is the debt is going up, our current account is deteriorating, our GDP growth rate, despite what they say, is low. Because, something like 5%, if you remove the population growth rate, you're talking about per capita growth rate of 2-point-something%, it's less than 3%. For a poor country, that is bad. You have other factors in there. When you combine all, high debt, high inflation, low GDP growth, deterioration of current account deficit, those are not features that tell you an economy is doing well. Basically, somebody is like looking at a human being saying, the person has high fever, losing weight, all sort of symptoms that are supposed to be negative, and then you say the person is in excellent health. That just doesn't concord with reality. So it's the same thing here. The problem with that press release is that you have the central bank going out of its way to try to project a positive image that is false. But even the numbers they bring in, despite their efforts are doing, rhetorical gymnastics, you cannot really cover the bad news. So when you talk about the economy performing strongly, then you come up with a GDP growth rate 5.7%. For a country that is a poor, fragile country, that is not good. You also talk about our foreign exchange market being stable, and then the next statement talks about the Gambian currency depreciating against every major currency. Those currencies are from countries that account for more than 90% of all of our trading volume. You also talk about the biggest foreign exchange, our biggest source of foreign exchange is remittances that in fact going down. You talk about, the banking sector is sound. Nobody's saying we have a banking crisis, but let's be realistic here. When you talk about banking sector, the only thing you talk about is liquidity and capitalization. But then the first indicator you mentioned is that the NPL is deteriorating. You would think that the press release would say something about the fact that what is the composition of the asset, what class of asset is accounting for the decline, for the increase in default rate, but nothing. They didn't mention any of those salient, relevant facts in there. So you don't also mention the fact that the government debt is going up, and mainly because it is short term. A lot of that debt is through, if you look at the assets of the banking sector, it is the time they are gobbling up a lot of that government securities. In a different paragraph, you talk about the fact that the credit to the private sector is going down. But you attributed that to tight monetary policy when you should have attributed that to the fact that the increased government borrowing is crowded out credit to the private sector. You can talk about many things. The problem, I looked at that, I feel insulted because it is insulting the intelligence of the people. They are trying to project a false image. And I think it really underscores, if you think about it, the fact that they called journalists to the State House, complaining about why they didn't get a wider coverage and the angle that they get, it shows that these people are playing a political game rather than a bunch of technocrats who are supposed to do a dispassionate and an objective monetary policy analysis in the country.